Hello, I think I am live now. Welcome back, everyone, to Intuitive Eating Explained. For those who don't know me, my name's Emma Townsin, and I'm a registered dietitian in the UK, and I'm a certified intuitive eating counsellor. So I support women through my practice, Food Life Freedom, to stop following stressful diet rules to control their eating or their body, and instead find a peaceful and happy relationship with food. So I base my work on an approach called intuitive eating, which is what we're exploring here. So to get a general overview, you can check out episode 1. And now we're working our way through each of the principles of intuitive eating. And this week we're discussing Feel Your Fullness. So a little disclaimer, last week I was rushed when prepping the live event, and because of that I wrote Feel Your Fullness for Principle 5, but actually discovering satisfaction is Principle 5 now. It's been switched around more recently. And if you head to my blog on my website on the 10 principles of intuitive eating, you'll see it's the other way around. Discovering satisfaction is 5 and Feel Your Fullness is 6. This is consistent with the latest book also, but it really doesn't matter which way around we explore these. And often because I find we're generally more aware of what fullness is rather than what satisfaction is. So it's usually with my clients a conversation about fullness that actually leads into a conversation about satisfaction. So I think this way around is a really nice way of doing it. So today we're discussing feeling your fullness. And often when I start working with clients, they have this goal of something like to not overeat, or to stop binge eating, or to stop out of control eating, for example. It's often focused on worry about eating too much. So understandably, we want to jump straight in here to start feeling or respecting fullness. But often the reason why my clients' bodies are not being able to feel or respect fullness is because they're not eating enough, or they're not eating consistently in the first place. So if your body is not comfortable that more food will be available whenever it needs it, then it's not going to guide you to stop at fullness. Honoring your hunger in principle 2 is so important, whether it's hunger that you're feeling or whether it's establishing a regular routine despite a lack of feeling your hunger or a lack of hunger cues. So this is essential before you can expect your body to not feel a need to eat as much as possible now. The next thing about fullness is it's been kind of looked down on in our culture. Fullness has incorrectly become a sign of greed, or it feeds back into this fear of weight gain that we have in our culture. But fullness is just another sensation that your body uses to communicate its needs with you. In the same way that your body communicates when it's tired, it communicates when it's hungry, it communicates when it needs to pee. It's just another sensation that your body uses. There are different stages of fullness as well. So we often fear getting to a stage where we feel uncomfortable. But if we think of a line, we think of a graph, we've got at the start like this more neutral level of kind of just not hungry. So we might not really be feeling full, but we're no longer feeling hungry. And then we progress down to this more comfortable level of fullness. We might feel a bit of a tightness or a warm sensation in our stomach, or in our body as well. And then we get further down. If we keep eating past that point, it may start to become uncomfortable and sometimes even painful. It might look like a lack of energy in the body as well, as the blood kind of rushes to our gut to help to digest and metabolize what we've eaten. And it might feel quite tight and painful in the stomach as well, as the stomach stretches to allow more food in. And it's usually more comfortable for us most of the time to feel this more comfortable level of fullness. before we get to that stage where it's painful or makes us really perhaps feel really exhausted or tired after eating. But it doesn't make that more extreme fullness bad. It's actually completely normal to feel this and to experience this some of the time. It's really just a message from our body. Our body indicates different types of fullness that we have. And it will pass. It will pass over time because it's just the way our body communicates. So what I find that is, for some people, we're so focused on avoiding fullness because of the perception that it comes from greed, or it's going to lead to, we've got this fear of weight gain that we believe it will lead to. And then we associate the more like the neutral, not hungry level as being full. So we can then end up eating to a place that only really short-term reduces hunger. We're not really getting to that fullness. We're just getting to not hungry. So really quickly after eating, we end up feeling hungry again and thinking about food. And then we start to believe that because we think we've eaten enough or we have reached fullness, it can feel confusing. We can start to distrust our body even more and think my body's just always hungry, whatever I do. And then lastly, we're not robots. So feeling your fullness, I think, can be, sometimes intuitive eating actually is seen as this kind of hunger fullness diet. We eat when hungry, we stop when full. That's only 2 out of 10 principles because we are not robots. So it's not that we can only eat when we're hungry and we must stop when we're full. There's no morality to stopping or keeping eating. And it's always your choice of when to stop or how you want to feel. Feeling your fullness is about recognizing the sensations of fullness and the different types or levels of fullness, understanding maybe what your body often needs to get to the type of fullness that works best for you, and drawing on your body's wisdom and from past experience to decide when you want to stop eating, to decide how you want to feel, to decide how long this food or this fullness is likely to last you. And when we're so used to following these kind of food rules and diets that tell us this is the portion size you should be eating, it can feel confusing to have that permission and to know that your body is unique in how much you will need to get to fullness. So some action steps I have to learn more about this principle and to start practicing this principle is, firstly, go back to honoring your hunger if you need to. If you haven't explored that principle yet, or you are perhaps second guessing when you need to eat and not quite attuned with your hunger, go back to honoring your hunger and make sure that you're giving yourself that full permission to eat when you are hungry. And if you're not feeling your hunger all the time, make sure that you are regularly and consistently feeding your body, knowing that your body actually does need food, even if you're not quite connected with its hunger cues. If you want to connect further with your fullness, you can allow yourself a pause. So throughout your meal, it might be helpful to pause before and just check in. How's my body feeling? What kind of sensations am I getting? And then throughout your meal, it doesn't mean that we have to hyper-focus the whole meal, but it can just be setting some time aside during your meal. How's my body feeling now? Sometime towards the end, and get curious about how the hunger might reduce and how maybe feelings of fullness start to come in at different points. And we can start to learn and recognize how much maybe food our body needs to feel full at different times, at different meals, at different points that we start off. Over time, we develop that wisdom in what our body needs. And then afterwards, notice how long fullness takes to pass at different stages of fullness. It's helpful to learn how long it might take before we become hungry if we've eaten to maybe just this not hungry kind of feeling, compared to if we're in more comfortable fullness. And this can be especially helpful if we find that we have eaten to a place where we're uncomfortably full or maybe painfully full. Just instead of beating ourselves up about what we've done, notice how long it takes that feeling to pass is just a message or a sensation from your body. There's no morality to it. Even though it can be uncomfortable or painful, it will pass with time. And lastly, just don't force making yourself stop eating. It's something that we often think, because there's morality attached to it, or we feel there's morality attached to it, that we have to stop when we're full. Don't force that. Rather, just empower yourself to have a choice. You're allowed to eat to a point when you're uncomfortably full, if that's what supports you at the time. If having that, more or extra of the food you are having is something you want to do, that's completely your choice. There's no morality to how you feel, and that feeling will pass. Empower yourself to have that choice of whether you stop or whether you keep eating, with no judgment or guilt associated with it. So that's what I've got. Again, let me know if you do try out these action steps or you find it helpful. Let me know. I'd love to hear how you go. And next week we will be exploring your satisfaction. So this is principle 5 or 6 on the old ones. And we're going to look at the difference between fullness and satisfaction, which is something that I know for me, before I started going into this work, I hadn't really thought about that, and why we can be full without actually feeling satisfied and maybe still wanting to eat more. It's really the hub of intuitive eating. It's feeling the satisfaction from food. When we start getting there, it makes all of the difficult work really worth it. So I look forward to tuning in with you next week.